Good afternoon, Turks and Caicos, and welcome to another episode of the TCI Patriot Hour. I'm your host this afternoon, Jamell Robinson, and I have two very exciting guests inside of the studio. Today's topic will be candidate profiles, and the number to call in, it's a call-in show, the number to call in is 941-8550. That's 941-8550. So I'll allow my guests to introduce themselves, and then we'll get right to it.
Hi, good afternoon, Turks and Caicos. I am Sabrina Green, and today I am here to give my viewpoints on the candidate profile as I'm an applicant and an aspirant for the People's Democratic Movement. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen on the air. My name is Kyle Smith, and I am here to describe and define what I feel to be the ideal candidate running in the upcoming elections.
Okay, let's get right to it. Describe your ideal characteristics for a candidate seeking political office.
I believe anyone seeking political office should possess certain basic fundamental qualities that any leader should possess. You should first be someone of good standing with integrity. You should be an honest person. You should be someone that is accessible, someone that's passionate about your people and your country. Those are the qualities I think each candidate should have if they're serious about representing their country.
Mr. Smith?
I agree with Brina on those attributes of candidates, integrity and honesty. However, I believe that, those are the fundamentals. And they've become the buzzwords for what people think should be the ideals of candidates. However, if I had to think about the candidates, I would look for someone that's trustworthy and reliable, someone that comes with some experience and who is really ready to practice what they preach as a leader. I'm looking for a candidate that has been tried and tested, whether it's in politics, whether it is in their daily lives, proof and evidence through their community service, or in their church, or even in their families. My ideal candidate should also have some form of technical skills, because you're not just there to lead, but you also need to be there as a candidate once you're in office and an MP to understand, whether it's in the form of the fiscal policies of your country, or planning, or even having to begin to define the projects that will steer this country in the right direction. So those are some of the qualities that I do look for. Mm-hmm. And then someone also that's disciplined, because you do need discipline as a leader of a country.
Mm-hmm. Man, I liking this already. So next question. You just described a nice list, both of you, a nice list of characteristics about the ideal candidate and what the quality should be. Has those characteristics been the exception or the rule for our politicians over the years?
I believe it has varied over the years. Times have changed. People's focuses fall in different directions. When I think of the late Jakes McCartney and the competencies he had as a leader, I think he was the total package. He was a man of the people with a deep passion for love and country, and he chose love and country over self. So I do believe that, we have changed over the years. It's not exactly as it was back then, but I dare to say whether anyone else has been able to fill his shoes. However, over the past years, there have been many leaders that have risen up here in Turks and Caicos that have done an exceptional job in leading our people. I'd rather not call the names of these persons.
But I'll leave that. Yeah, Mr. Smith.
And it's from both sides of the political realm,
I would suspect that would be the case.
I agree with Sabrina. We have had some exceptional leaders in the past, many of which on both parties, the PNP and the PDM, that have possessed many of the skills and attributes that we've discussed. I wouldn't like to discredit anyone in politics. Each individual that has served has served with some talents and characteristics that we've looked at and discussed. Some don't have all, but it's not necessary for you to have all of the characteristics. But if you have a few and they're strong, and you have a strong team behind you, I think a lot of those characteristics will begin to present itself through your term.
Okay, Mr. Smith, what do you believe are the main factors used by voters in the past to select candidates?
Popularity and party affiliation. Over the years, people chose because that's who they were instructed to choose as the persons that they believe should be their leaders and the candidates that would win seats. That's exactly what it boils down to: party affiliation and popularity. Other than that, I believe also family lines. Many people that we see in the past have big families, and those people that have been elected as our leaders have been selected because they do have a large family tree, and it makes it quite easy for you to win a seat when you have
Half the seat is your family.
Half of the seat is your family, and that's not to discredit anyone for anything. It's it's just the way that it is.
And you want to add anything, Ms. Green?
Yeah, I'm in full agreement with what Kyle just said. It's family culture. It also has to do with towing your party lines. And for me, I think it will have to do with the individual that is best prepared with the skill sets required to be my voice.
Right.
That's how I see it. Now, there are some people who are going to go and support specifically their party. And I think this is where the beauty of the at-large candidates come in. It gives Turks and Caicos Islanders an opportunity to stray away from being committed and straight down the line. It is something that we would encourage our voters to do. But let's look at it. When you're voting for someone, you're really voting for true representation. And the voters now have an option to say, well, you know what? I'm looking at Sabrina over there. Sabrina is well capable of looking out for my interests. She's a fighter. She's a this. Yeah, she might not be on my party's ticket, but I think it's worth giving her a shot. So I believe the at-large seats is an excellent opportunity for Turks and Caicos Islanders to exercise their right. Besides, politics, the blue and yellow has kind of divided us as a people for far too long. It's time for a more united Turks and Caicos.
So that kind of leads perfectly into my next question. Do you guys believe that those trends that you just described will continue? Will they continue this goal?
Of course, these things don't change over time. If you look at past elections and even coming up to these upcoming elections, whenever they're set for, the trends for how people select party are still very evident. However, I believe now there's a more savvy voter pool. So even though some of these trends of popularity, party affiliation, or family ties are still there, and they're still evident, people will begin to be a bit more educated and learn more about their candidates prior to selecting. We can look at the Civil Service Association elections that came up recently, and the candidates that were running for that, and that educated many people in the civil service as to how they wanted to choose their candidates and the people that they wanted to be their representative. And the people that I believe, the people that were selected were the ones that put forward the best arguments and the ones that put forward the best motion to steer the civil servants in the right direction. I believe that when these candidates do put themselves forward, they have to justify their platform of change, and that's what people are looking for. People are listening a lot more to what candidates are saying, and not looking at the yellows and the blues.
Yes.
So right now the green, or previously the orange. And agree with Sabrina on the introduction of the at-large candidates. It allows people the opportunity to select not just by party, but by individual.
Yeah, 5 votes is a lot, you
Yeah,
know.
it is a lot.
5 votes is a huge sum.
And you know what, to be honest, I think we need to commend our electorate for where they have evolved into today. Because as Kyle mentioned earlier, the average voter is very, very savvy today. And we have all of these young people returning with university degrees. They're not going to be taking the instruction from their family and saying, hey, I'm a PNP, this is how you vote. I'm a PDM, this is where it goes. No, these young people are now asking, why? Why should I support them? Is my life going to be any better after the 4 years they've went to office? And if your life has not improved over that 4-year period, it's time for you to consider where you should be supporting next time.
I can skip the next question and go to the question because this is kind of leading kind of straight into this, what we're discussing right now. CaribbeanElections.com has developed a candidate report card outlining several categories for identifying a suitable candidate. Should this objective tool be widely disseminated and used for the upcoming elections, particularly like in a case where we have at large, we got 5 votes, and right now we're gearing up to have at least 15 people. So there's so much options, and just for the persons who may not be able, who might not be able to understand what I'm talking about. Essentially, just a quick overview of the report card. It has candidates, whether they have a party affiliation, whether or not they have any particular allegiance or alliance, but they look at the issues. You can grade persons on a scale of 0 if they don't meet the criteria, 1 if they meet it, 2 if they exceed it. So you look at issues like economy, education, healthcare, youth, etc., whether the person have certain education, skills, or experience, and their personal attributes, like the characteristics we described earlier with you, respectability, honesty, integrity, dedication, etc. So given we're in a place where we have the responsibility to deal with 5 votes, and family ties, party affiliation, popularity might be waning, is this a way for voters to,
I reviewed your report card, the candidate's report card that you got from the website, and I thought it was an excellent initiative, something that should be introduced here in Turks and Caicos, because it gives the voter an informed approach as to how to go about in selecting a candidate. They can also record, measure the progress of these candidates and to see how successful they are in their performance.
The next election,
you cross-reference with this report card and see where the progress has been made. So I think it's a wonderful initiative. So yes, I do believe it to be an excellent starting point in educating our electorate.
I also agree. Looking at the upcoming elections, even without this scorecard, the way in which these candidates will be selected is going to be very pronounced. And this candidate report card that we have here at least allows people to look at the criteria and the benefits of tabulating a score to select their candidates. I think this is simple and very easy. It removes us from the consideration only by party politics or affiliated politics to having something that's very tangible, and anyone can do it. From looking at the issues specifically to that candidate's education and skills, and the last thing being their attributes and values. These are the things that should be considered, above and beyond anything. And if you can put a value to that, you will easily be able to select who you think is the right person to lead this country.
Absolutely.
Agreed. Should all MPs have proper job descriptions? If so, what should it entail? If not, why not? So job descriptions for your members of parliament.
I think I need a bit of clarity on that. Are you talking about the detailed descriptions such as their
each of us have a job in here, and we all have a job description describing the job we're supposed to do.
Yes.
And we're all paid for that job.
Yes.
Yep.
So right now we know MPs are paid for the job, but do they have a particular set of targets or tasks, so to speak, that they have to do on behalf of the people for their tenure?
Of course. As you said just now, we all have a job, and there are certain tasks and performances that we must carry out. Yes, being a minister and MP is no exception. Actually, it probably is a higher standard that they should be held to. So I do believe that they would require a job description because there are certain expectations of these individuals in these roles, yes?
Yeah.
And being an MP requires more than just being on a 8 to 4 job. I mean, being a minister, your job is never ending. I mean, if you think about the social part of things and, you know, the support that the community is leaning on you for, your job is kind of never ending. I mean, I'm not a candidate as yet, and there are such great expectations from me as a person vying for political office. You know, it's hard for me to keep up with the program, but, you know, it's what you do, and this is what public life is all about. So the expectations, you have to rise to them.
I also believe that there should be some form of description once you've been elected as an MP. I believe whether it's a job description specifically or some form of performance criteria that you need to follow and you know, a list of deliverables, because that's like essentially what it is over your 4-year period. You're essentially getting involved in a project, and that project is to run the country in the best possible way. So performance criteria and deliverables are something that sets the pace for how you're going to proceed with your job as an MP during your tenure.
Okay. The recently concluded Vote Your Voice Voter Education Survey has indicated that the top 3 personal attributes and values sorted by respondents and a candidate are integrity, honesty, and dedication. Do you believe this is representative of the mood of the country right now? Wanting those 3 specific things.
There's been a lot of work carried out over the past few years in the country as it pertains to integrity and accountability in public office through various institutions of good governance, which have been established and introduced, and a new introduction of a new code of conduct for persons in public life. These have all been measures undertaken, you know, to ensure that these principles are maintained. So, yes, I think these things should be the focal point, and every person aspiring to get into public life should be answerable to them.
I can't say that I'm in full agreement if I had to look at the survey, and it's just a matter of numbers from the survey itself. 89 people responded to the survey, which probably isn't indicative of the entire voting population. Maybe if we had some more time to spread that survey more, you know, because as I said, it's quite easy for anyone to blurt the words integrity and honesty as the first core values that individuals should have. But are those the only ones? Necessarily not.
No.
You know, and also who were we targeting with the survey specifically? Was it the voting pool? I think, you know, the majority of the persons that responded were individuals of the right age and demographic, and were also a part of the voting pool. But saying that, you don't actually have to be a voter to express your interest in how local politics are run. And you know, I would like to say that I'd like to see a more balanced survey over a longer period of time, so we can get a better idea of what people are really looking for in terms of their candidates.
Gotcha. Do you believe this country is ready for a new type of politics? Can take your time and answer that one, because we know what the last 40 years look like. Or do we need to establish a baseline for what the last 40 years look like?
You know what?
Don't be shy. Don't be shy.
I believe the country is ready for a new type of leadership.
Okay.
Yeah, a leadership that will put our country and our people first, no matter what. And a leadership that leaves absolutely none, regardless of your ethnic background or where you hail from. If you're a Turks and Caicos Islander, none of us should be left behind. We should all have a say and be a part of the growth of this country. So I would say, yes, maybe a new type of leadership.
I think this is a very delicate question.
It is indeed.
A very delicate topic, you know, because we have to figure out what is the difference between new and old politics. What does that actually look like? And you know, if we're moving to new form of politics,
I'll clarify the old. You mentioned in the characteristics described, i.e. the popularity, family ties, and what was the third one? It's popularity, family ties,
Party affiliation.
party affiliation,
Passion for country.
right? And then, well, a part of the new was which also was described by Ms. Green about the more educated voter looking at the criteria of the person
Their
to
vote.
meet these, basically be able to do the job versus just being in there because of those three things, the Trinity.
Yeah, because
Right.
you may have all of these competencies as you just outlined, but if you're there and you're not functioning in your role, because all of that plays a part to the whole politician, about
Right.
service to your people. You can have all of these criteria, but when it comes down to fulfilling the obligations of your job, that's another thing.
I think we should also be clear that when we look at politics, whether old or new, we're still dealing in a politics that's based around democracy. And so as long as we are continuing to stay down that path, we're looking at the same politics, but if we look at the way that we're now moving forward with the at-large candidates, and that could be considered as a new form of
Yes.
politics. It's a new way of moving forward by allowing this open forum for individuals to run and not be under you are under the umbrella of a party, but however you're still considered as an individual. And it also moves us away from I think what people term as the old boys club, whether it's from the blues or the yellows, the PNPs, the PDMs, onto something that allows people to be more selective without feeling guided by the old school principles of politics. So that's my opinion on that question.
Okay. Should parliamentary experience matter in voting for a candidate, whether they're being selected as a candidate or at the polls?
I believe
Parliamentary experience.
yes and no.
Why and why?
Yeah, because
Explain yourself, lady.
well, a past parliamentarian has a record to run on, so of course that'll work in their favor. Yes, you have experience
potentially.
under your belt. Yeah, potentially. That is if your legacy was a positive one.
Yes.
Yes. And for the newcomer, I mean, how do we get the experience if we don't get the opportunity? So we need a chance to get the opportunity once we get there, because let's face it, every politician had to start from somewhere. They were once a beginner. So we need the opportunity to gain the experience, and then we can have a record, a positive one, to run on. So that's how I see that. I mean, like, take me, for example. I'm a business person.
Right.
I'm a community person.
Right.
I've not had any political experience. Would it be right to say I'm not going to support Sabrina because she has no political experience? No. I am a professional woman. I've educated myself on my own dime. I came back to be of service to my country, and I think I have possibly a lot of attributes and qualities that I can offer Turks and Caicos at this time in our country's history. I don't think I should be denied of that opportunity simply because I lack experience in Parliament.
Agreed, because, well, continue, Tyler. Then I'll put it right to that.
I would say no, because some people sit in Parliament through their experience and time, and they don't do anything. They're just there as a fixture in the house, and sometimes don't make any valuable contribution.
And some do.
And then some do. So if you're looking at parliamentary experience, as in I'm sitting there, the answer would be no. But then we should look at people for their experience, of course, and people that are elected and appointed that will make reasonable contribution. And as Sabrina said, she doesn't have the experience of Parliament, but she knows that she is running for a cause, and the experience in Parliament will come. It must be done, as I just said, with the caveat that the experience will come, and once you're in the house, you're going to do something tangible and for the people.
To return me there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a little biased on this question because I
Okay.
believe experience overrated, period. taking the caveat, of course, what you actually do with the experience, because end of the day, our greatest politician was the one who stepped into the House without any experience. That's Jakes McCartney.
Yes.
The right excellent Jakes McCartney.
But there was a time, and there's a time for that.
Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Should a candidate's religion and faith be taken into consideration by voters when they offer themselves for office?
Personally, I believe so. Turks and Caicos has traditionally been a Christian country, and I believe that religion and faith is something that we hold in very, very high esteem still today. So I think they should be heavy considerations on the minds of the electorate.
I'm just looking for something, because I don't think that and this is a very debatable topic. Right. Should the candidates' religion and faith be taken into consideration? I don't think so necessarily. I believe that is something that the voter should make a decision on. So if someone steps forward with great ideas to lead the country, and they're agnostic or atheist, at the end of the day, they still have to be chosen by the people. And it speaks in the Constitution of us being a God-fearing country. So whether they are agnostic or atheist, they have to follow the Constitution of the Turks and Caicos, and they can't stray very far away from it. So those influences, as I said, that is something for the people. You can't really put that into legislation, I don't think. I can be right or wrong about that.
I don't think he was looking at the viewpoint of legislation. I think it was
From
more from a personal voter standpoint.
Do you think they should? Particularly because our Constitution specifically, I think it starts very close in the beginning that it declares we are a God-fearing nation, Christian nation, something like that in our TCI Constitution. And given that is the case that we declared that, should religion in general, whether Christianity, other religions, or agnostic, as you mentioned, play a part in the voter makeup of what they consider when selecting a candidate at the polls.
Yeah.
So, all right. So that's clearing that up for persons listening. Okay. Which process is more democratic? Which process is a more democratic way in selecting a candidate within a political party? By a selection committee, by a primary process where the voters choose, or the leader making the selection? And before you answer, for other political parties aren't the only way for candidates to be selected. There's an independent route where you just kind of wait for nomination day and put your name in on the paper. So for other persons, political parties ain't the be and all. Okay,
that's right.
So I'm talking about political parties. Which is the more democratic way of selecting candidates?
Well, the political parties that we currently have here in Turks and Caicos, they've exercised various approaches. Yes. I mean, for example, the PNP party would have a primary.
Right.
Yeah, the PDM would conduct surveys.
Right.
But I don't think I can personally say which is best way in selecting the candidate, because I believe the process is governed by the party's constitution and the NGC. So that'll be the determinant factor on how the process is carried out.
Mr. Smith? I'm going to let you slide on that one. I'm going to let Ms. Green slide on that one.
Well, I think selection by committee and leaders is a very extremely subjective way of selection. I believe that the right way would be, or a better way would be, through the primary process, because it allows candidates to speak to the issues and for voters to observe through things like debates and be able to listen to the discussions, the debates, and also understand what those candidates are ready to deliver. As I said, the committees are subjective, and ultimately if we really want to have a good slate of candidates, we have to be able to hear what they have to say.
Absolutely.
And know that those are the people that we want to represent us at a public and governmental level.
But as I said, it's party governance, and I guess to each his own. Whichever way works for that party, that's what they'll go with.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you believe the current voters see family values as important when choosing a candidate?
I believe they do. Family is often the number one priority in each person's life.
Okay.
And therefore, family values are a huge point of consideration for a voter.
Before we continue, we have a caller. Caller, you're on the air.
Good afternoon, Mr. Robinson, and to your guests and to your listeners. On the subject of new form of politics, I don't know if you ever hear this, and I guess it would be hard to get, the true answer to this from the political parties. But I was told, right, that the original intent for the at-large seats, that was not for the political parties. That was for persons who are not affiliated with political parties to get involved in politics. Mm-hmm. But then again, politicians will always be politicians, and they just, they just knock that idea down. But that's what I was told by someone who was a part of the interim government that really cooked up the whole stuff after the suspension of the Constitution. I don't know if you ever hear that, but that's what I heard. It would be good if somebody could really come forward and clarify that whole deal with that at large seats. Thanks, and bye.
Okay, thank you, caller. I don't know if our candidates, I say candidates, if our guests, sorry, because we have a candidate.
I was
one candidate.
Yeah. Yeah. You might know some mine. I would love to know who actually told you that. You could call off the air or something, or just call back and tell the operator who told you that. But I'm not aware of that being the actual idea
behind it. I wasn't aware either.
Because I think BVI also has an at-large system, if I'm not mistaken. One of the other overseas territories has a similar at-large system as ours, and really make a difference with the independent persons over in that particular system. Okay, so back to the voters and family values. Is it important in choosing a candidate? So whether family values is an important aspect of choosing a candidate.
I think, going back to religion, one of the things I feel strong about is the fact that we do have a Christian heritage, and some of the fundamental things of Christianity is family. Mm-hmm. And I believe that family does play an important role. That's my personal opinion. I don't know if there's any statistical surveys out there to show that the entire country feels the same way. Mm-hmm. But within my group of friends and family, when we have these discussions, family does play a crucial role. Mm-hmm. Because having a strong family shows that you have a firm foundation and you're settled and you're stable.
You ought to have a strong foundation.
And if you can run a household or have a great family, then that shows a lot about your candidate. And the way that they will run the country. Mm-hmm. So I believe that family values are quite vital as one of those elements of being a good candidate.
So that's like having good parliamentary experience, having a good family values, but not equivalent, but it's another.
And it shows discipline as well, when you're stable.
Okay. How should voters judge whether a candidate is right for them?
I guess you can judge whether a candidate is right for you based on your political beliefs, mm-hmm. the core things you're looking for that your party represents. It can be your personal convictions and how and whether that person can adequately meet the needs of the country and not their individual needs. Because a lot of persons would enter the political arena thinking about things that will be best from their standpoint, as opposed to the wider populace and what the needs of the individuals are out there. So I think those are some of the things that people would look for in a candidate when making their selection.
It all goes back to the characteristics of a good candidate. Everyone has a different opinion or different view on what is important for them when selecting the right candidate. And when they choose them, they have to do that based on what they feel is important to them. And once that candidate can sell that idea, it's up for that individual to buy in. I just like to hope that people don't forget some very, other than the integrity and honesty, that they don't forget to look for some things in their leaders, such as compassion. I forgot to mention that earlier, but having a leader that is compassionate to their people should always be should be at the top of the list, because it's not something that can just happen. It has to be something that's very natural.
It's
for
innate,
people to it has to be innate in you. Yes, correct. For you to have compassion. And also a leader, people should consider when they're choosing their leader or their candidate to have someone that is starting to put things together, to put their people first. That they should at least consider that candidate or individual that will look out for their best interests.
I really like compassion, Kyle. I really, really like compassion, because, you have to feel, you have to empathize with the needs of your people, You
have to.
You must be able to feel that, not be so detached that whatever the trials your people are going through, it doesn't affect you in any way. You have to feel the pain and the cries of your people. Yeah.
Because that's the only way that you'll be able to move forward and actually deliver for what your people need.
Yeah.
Question: should candidates have constituency-specific manifestos? I don't know.
Constituency-specific manifestos.
Or just manifestos as a candidate. So let's say I want to run in Leeward, Long Bay, West Cakers or whatever. Should me being a candidate, when I come to the people of that constituency,
your platform is only for them.
Exactly. And what would that look like if that is something?
When you run in a constituency, yes, you're relying on the support of those people in that particular constituency. However, once you're elected, you're on the national stage now, where you're taking care of the entire Turks and Caicos Islands. It's not just going to be specific to the people who voted you in power. No, the platform is a national platform. It's a Turks and Caicos platform. That's how I view it.
I actually do like Sabrina's answer. Should you have specific manifestos for each constituency?
As a candidate?
Probably not. But most people, when they run, their platform is already focused on their constituency, because that's the way that they get their votes. They get their votes from their constituents.
But
once you're there,
yes,
your interest should be for all of the people, not just for your constituents.
Imagine I run in Bexalina, and your child comes from Provo for a scholarship. Can't do nothing for you. You are not in my constituency. I have to see about my people who support. That's wrong. We can't grow a country like that by separating the sheep from the cat. We're elected to take care of the entire Turks and Caicos Islands.
Agreed. But would you say that because can you walk and chew gum then? Basically, can you have a national conscience while still representing the interests of the group who
you're looking for re-election. You're looking for re-election, yeah? So when you go into your constituency, of course, they're going to be a focus for you.
Right.
I'm only saying they're not going to be your only focus.
Agreed.
You know, so
Agreed.
yes, you're going to make sure infrastructural works are done in your area. You're going to push for social programs. You're going to have youth-based initiatives. You know, you're going to see what you can do to provide employment and scholarships to the people in your area.
Right.
But when it boils down to an individual perspective, when it comes to another person over someone from my constituency, it has to be a more objective approach.
Okay, question for you, Ms. Green.
Yes.
Since you're a candidate, potential candidate, perspective.
A hopeful.
Hopeful, yes. And this, there were caller? Okay, caller on the air can break up this party.
Raking and scraping.
I tell you, caller, you on the air?
Yep, Mr. Robinson, hearing you all speaking about in choosing a leader, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm mindful of this portion of scripture, what one of the wisest kings said, right? And it said this: "Woe to thee, O land, when thy king is a child, and thy princess eateth in the morning," right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it went on to say, "Blessed art thou, O land, when thy king is the son of a noble, and thy prince eat in due season, for strength and not for drunkenness." I believe when we choose a leader, we should consider those words very carefully. And here in the conversation, I am mindful of the love and compassion that the late excellent J.X. McCartney had for his people. Should we ever, whenever we can get such people like that, I don't know. I believe, and I wonder why none of his children really never come forward to continue the vision of their father, right? But then again, it's their calling. But again, that scripture, what I just shared with you and your listeners, we should consider that very carefully whenever we go into the poll and vote for any person. And then I'm mindful, and finally, right, not to any discredit to a woman, right? I am mindful also of a portion of scripture, what the scripture speaks about when we have a woman as the leader. Thanks, man. Bye.
Well, you gotta elaborate on the specific scripture, whether it's the New or Old Testament, because the New Testament came to fulfill the Old and wash it away, because we are under the law versus the what grace, I think, in the grace period. But anyway, yes, Ms. Green.
Yes.
So we're talking about platforms and whether candidates should have had like manifestos and a national view versus a constituency level.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it happens that you happen to be vying for at large. What should these candidate platforms look like? And you can use yours as an example. Your platform.
My platform is going to be a Turks and Caicos platform. When I say a Turks and Caicos platform, I'm speaking to the issues that affect the lives of every Turks and Caicos Islander. These can be social, education, healthcare is an issue that I would like to look at. We can improve on our tourism product. And the main thing that we need to address in this country is the crime that we're dealing with here right now. I think every Turks and Caicos Islander, times have changed. Let's face the fact. Times have changed. Different people have came to our shores. We probably, in some cases, don't even know who are residing among us. The days have gone by when you can leave your house unlocked. It's over. That's not happening now today. I want for the average Turks and Caicos Islander to be able to roam the streets of Turks and Caicos without fear that someone is going to attack them, someone is going to rob them. So my plan would be, honestly, that more pressure has to be placed on the governor's office who is responsible for law enforcement. We have to protect our people in this country, and I don't understand why pressure is not being placed on that office, more pressure. We have to do things like that. So from a national profile, because that's where I'm going to be representing the country at large, I want to find out all of the issues that are affecting Turks and Caicos Islanders. I've been going from house to house dealing with the single parent household, dealing with the youth, and hearing some of the cries that they have. I'm not really focused on the highfalutin stuff that people think, we got to deal with policy and legislation, because let's face it, the average Turks and Caicos Islander probably doesn't even tune into the House of Assembly. How is the House of Assembly going to give me lunch for my child to go to school? Please tell me how I am going to afford an education for this child. I want to hit the hot button issues that are affecting the average Turks and Caicos Islander, because I was once that person. I had to struggle and find fees for a child for private school because I wanted to give her the best education. I was a single mother that had problems paying rent one time. I see myself as the Turks and Caicos woman. I have felt everything any woman in this country could probably say they have experienced. I think it is very relatable. It is something that I am passionate about, and I want to be the answer to those problems.
All right, say it the rest for the night. All right, Kyle, jump in this one. Does our current political system train future generations for leadership? And Sabrina can add to that afterwards.
Does our
Current political system train future generations for leadership?
and when we speak of leadership, we're thinking of leadership of the country.
Yes.
Um,
In other spheres, but we're
Well-
talking politics and candidates here, but primarily leadership of country.
I think that with the current political system,
How are we doing after 40 years?
there has been progress over 40 years, but we've had our ups and downs. I believe that there should be a bit more focus on future generation and succession and leadership. I believe that as a country there's a downfall. I feel, as a young person, being in various leadership positions, I have had to put myself in those myself. It hasn't really been any direct influence of any political individual or party. And I think that this is, let me be more clear. When we think of it from a policy or legislation perspective and government, I think that there should be some focus on things being established to focus on our future leaders, especially our young Turks and Caicos Island leaders. Training in the civil service, if we're talking about public, and also, if we're looking at Turks and Caicos Islands and locals, we need to be ready to have them trained and gain more experience and get the qualifications so that they'll be able to take on more leadership roles. I don't think that we see enough of that.
Okay. Caller, you're on the air.
Man, y'all gotta stop making me waste all this minutes. I didn't want to tell y'all sound good, man.
Thank you. So, apologies.
Thank you.
Hey, gotta let the guest finish their thought.
Whoa, man, that's Venti. So, man.
All right. What's up?
I really listen, y'all sound good. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. It's Green. You can jump in on that one.
Well, when I think of the political systems, I reflect on the systems that they have in the United States. When I think of congressmen and statesmen, I think what we probably can consider is a junior parliamentary or perhaps a local government, where these persons can graduate to different levels in parliament. Because every year we're doing the process all over again, where we have new candidates coming to the forefront, and there isn't really the experience element that's coming along with it, where this person has at least been afforded an opportunity to get some growth in that area.
Okay. I would check, because I'm definitely a supporter of local government
Yes.
as a training ground, because the first time in the big league shouldn't be straight in the big
Exactly.
leagues, you know what I mean? Come off the bench.
Don't throw me into the
Yeah.
end of the pool.
But unfortunately, we ain't quite there yet, but, hopefully
good
we'll get there,
starting
but it's a
point,
good
yeah.
starting point
Yeah.
where, we got proper local government. All right. We are winding down now, so I would like both of you guys final words on candidate profiles, and if you got anything else you want to add, plug, whatever, that's your time. You start, Kyle, and finish with Ms. Green.
First and foremost, Mr. Robinson, just thank you for having me here. I appreciate the opportunity to be able to share my views on the candidate profiles. And I hope that the listeners have listened to all of us and our opinions. And that listening here, I think, should be translated at the polls and the upcoming elections. And I just want people to be very mindful of the individuals that they select as our leaders in these upcoming elections, because every time is a pivotal time, but now is definitely a pivotal time moving forward in this country. Make sure that you're, as I said, look for a leader that's compassionate, someone that's going to be able to have a listening ear, but also someone that is proactive. We want a body of people that will be doers and not talkers. Someone that is selfless and will be putting, service above self. That's how it's definitely a past road actor. And I will carry that through for the rest of my life. If I am doing anything, it will always be service above self, and I hope that our future candidates and leaders will be doing the same.
Well, in my closing remarks, I would first like to say I thank God that I am a compassionate person. I am so pleased to know that over the years of my life, when people speak and say Sabrina, they always say, oh, she ain't nice to people now because she going in politics. This is who Sabrina was her entire life. You see, compassion is something that you can't fake, eh? It is one of those innate qualities that you're either born with or you're not. You can fake it for a while, but it's something that wouldn't stick with you forever. I believe leaders are born. Christ made leaders. I believe that I am a leader. I've always been one. Someone who will take the lead in any situation, run with it, and try to make a better outcome for everyone around me. So what I would like to say to Turks and Caicos, yes, please be mindful in the people that you go to the poll and select as the voice of you and your family. I want people to know that there is so much riding on this next election, so much riding on it. And my message would be to anyone out there who has children, who has a niece or a nephew, and they want to see better in this country for them, don't think about self. Go to the polls this election and vote for the future generations of this country, because we have a lot on the line coming up in this election. And you have to vote for the people who you think are most capable of carrying out your mandate. These persons must be people who are accessible, they have to be approachable, they must be compassionate people, but they also should be competent people. People who can go into a portfolio and are able to run a ministry effectively for the greater good of Turks and Caicos. I would like to plug also right now to all my PDM supporters out there tonight. I'm going to be speaking at the branch meeting, so come out and watch me do the smackdown. Thank you.
So that's why you got on your camouflage. Are you ready for war?
I'm ready for war. My battle fatigue is on. I'm here to fight the great war for Turks and Caicos.
I was going to ask you that after you got over here, but since you say you can drop the smackdown, as I asked you ready now. With that, folks listening in, this was the Patriot Hour. We are just wrapping up with candidate profiles with our guest, Ms. Sabrina Green, as well as Mr. Kyle Smith. Next week, we will be dealing with the role of media in politics, with some very good guests as well. So with that, my name is Jamell Robinson, your host for today. Have a great week. Not weekend. Rest of the week. Going into the weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Calling all Patriots. It's that time of year again. Applications for the Turks and Caicos National Awards are being accepted. Don't miss out on an opportunity to nominate and honor your fellow Turks and Caicos Islanders. The categories are as follows: the Order of National Hero, the Order of the Turks and Caicos Islands, the Meritorious Service Medal, the Long Service Medal, the National Young Achievers Medal, and our personal favorite, the Patriotic Award. The deadline for all submissions is June 30th, 2016. For a copy of the National Medals and Awards Guidelines, email us at tcipatriots@gmail.com. That's tcipatriots@gmail.com. We will make our submissions, so make sure you make yours.